Okay, so now we head into the next question. This goes kind of a little in depth. Back when you were playing, team leagues were still really big. Everyone remembers the 4K WC3L times, like you and Todd just wrecking through everyone. It was crazy. But over time, the teams league disappeared more and more. It was the same for StarCraft, actually. Like, I feel most solo titles in esports, they shifted away from team leagues. Now, two-part question. Did you enjoy playing team leagues more so than solo leagues? And see, not only from a player perspective, but also someone who's now more involved in the scene, do you think it makes sense to shift away from the team league? Is it more beneficial to the title and to the brand to have a solo tournament? Because nowadays, really, team leagues, they are mostly gone, apart from maybe like the Pro League in Korea.
If you can hold it closer, I can relax back a bit. Yeah, like, I have a lot to say on this topic. I don't know if I should say everything or whether it will be chaotic if I share everything. But let's take a look back at 2004 when WC3L was like the thing. First of all, in the early esports, you have to understand a lot of these tournament organizations, they were holding tournaments based on passion and venture capital, and mostly passion. I mean, most of the organizations were running a loss in terms of finances, which means it's not sustainable unless there's like a rich person behind the organization. So, okay, we have that established. So they were not able to offer a lot of prize money for team leagues. But for all intents and purposes, team leagues for teams were not profitable because it costs a lot of money to send players. Sometimes or oftentimes organizations of the tournament would pay for the trips, but oftentimes it would also be the teams. So it's not worth it for anyone, and yet everyone wanted to play. The players wanted to play, the teams wanted to send their players, the organizations wanted it. Why? Well, first of all, easy, maybe cliche answer, even love for the game. It's true, but besides that, what team leagues offer teams was identity. Yeah, you've got sponsors, fans, players, okay, but like, why are you in a team? It's a solo game. But team leagues offered identity. I remember like in Four Kings, we all go to different tournaments, which is cool. People always thought that when you're in a team, you practice a lot together. Mostly it's not true, because, I mean, it's like, I don't know exactly why, and it doesn't really matter, but practicing together, it's kind of like dating someone. Yeah? You need to mesh well in terms of personality. You need to enjoy doing the same thing. You need to mesh with each other's practice style, because practice is a very personal thing. There's many different ways you can practice. You can grind games. You can request strategies from each other. You can sacrifice your own time to help only them, or to try and practice that you benefit both. If you have a tournament in 1 week and I have one in 2 weeks, do I only help you? Do I copy the players that you are going to be facing to best prepare you? Or should I also look out for myself? I mean, I cannot stress enough how many different ways you can practice, which people also may not be aware of. So when you're looking for someone to practice with, the greatest benefit may not at the time be your teammate. It may be someone else. Maybe someone who you never even meet in a tournament, because then there's no risk of revealing your strats to someone you could face. I mean, hell, Todd, he was a teammate, but we face each other in individual competitions all the time. So mostly the meaning of a team was enhanced by team leagues, because that's when you're out there and you help each other any way possible. And that is what I enjoyed the most. I enjoy team leagues more than individual tournaments. And I just hope that they would always continue to exist. WC3Ls, I mean, these are my best memories. Like, it doesn't matter 10 years later how much money you won or blah, 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 blah. It's like the emotions are what you remember the most later. And those team leagues were the best for that. Now, when WC3L got to like season 11, we had a shift in everything. The economy behind esports started changing. The thing that sponsors are interested in, teams are interested in, everything started changing. organizations started to become more self-sustainable, prioritize things differently. For whatever reason, everyone was less interested in team leagues except maybe players and fans. And so individual tournaments grew quicker in terms of mass appeal, let's say. And that's a real pity. That's a real pity. But one thing that did happen, which was less interesting in team leagues, it cannot be denied that in like the year 2007, 6, 5 onwards, and very much increasingly so, the balance between China and Europe started changing. More tournaments and players coming from China, fewer in the West. And so China became a very important part of Warcraft 3 in every storyline, every tournament, including in team leagues. And so they also wanted to play in team leagues, and we wanted to have them in the team leagues. But the lag, oh my God. I mean, we used to play Clan Wars in 2, 3, 4 hours. But when you play a Clan War with a Chinese team, it would take 6 to 7 hours or 8. It was terrible for the hosts. It was terrible for the players. It was terrible for the organization. It was terrible for the fans. Because they're like, oh, let's tune in. The first game is in 3 hours. So it became, I don't know, we needed the Chinese players, but at the same time, we really needed them not to play. But we cannot be racist or discriminating. And we wanted to have them play. But infrastructure-wise, it was unfeasible. And this dragged on season after season, and it just made players and everyone's like, I don't want to play. And it's like the final season I played WC3L, every time WNV. I mean, I love those guys, but 7-hour Clan Wars, that's not how I want to spend my day, and no one wanted to spend their day that way. So I don't know if this is the reason or part of the reason. Clan Wars at LAN, great, but you got to send 10 people there. So a number of different reasons. Do we still need team leagues now? I mean, I want to see team leagues, and a lot of people say it, but for some reason it's not happening. Financial reasons, logistical reasons, I don't know.
It would be beautiful to see them return, also for the new titles. Like many Warcraft fans remember, like WC3L finals in Hamburg, when the loser comes from the lower bracket, takes the first, what was it, like 3 best of 1s and a best of 2, and then he has to win again to get the win in the end. And it was just such a spectacle. It was beautiful to see. All right, now we head into the next one. We also, we already touched on this a bit. You are not really a competitive player anymore, but you stream a lot nowadays. And I feel like you were one of the first players to quickly understand this, that you are not just a player, you have a brand now. Of course, this had a lot to do with your incredible fame, not just in China, but across the entire Warcraft scene. You made a name for yourself. You have a brand also that's called Follow Grubby.
Follow Grubby is just like easily people to find me on every single portal. Because if you take a name, dictionary word like Grubby, and you try to get it on Twitter, like there's already a diner in the United States which is called twitter.com/Grubby. So my brand, I guess, is just me. I don't really have like, okay, some other name. My brand is Grubby, which is everything that I am, and Follow Grubby just the social network handle.
Okay, but you decided to take that route very quickly. I think after Evil Geniuses back in Warcraft 3, you decided to take that route, and you were actually one of the first RTS players to ever really go that way, especially in the success that you had. Because normally everyone was sticking to a team, but you made the very bold choice to not do this. Now, why did you choose to take that route? And do you think it is a very feasible and a good way to make that decision for an RTS player? Or were you kind of privileged in a way because you had such a big name? Would you recommend it for other players? But most importantly, why did you choose to do it?
So the funny irony is that, let me eat that microphone now. The funny irony, I am hungry by the way, but Mike's not on my menu. The irony is like, I call myself independent since I've not been in a team, but it's the exact opposite of what I am, because I am 100% dependent on my fans. Like nothing I do or have ever done since I quit high school would be possible without the very basic fact people like to watch my games, or people give me support, or are fans of me or of the game. So for this, yes, you use the word privileged. Yes, absolutely. To come back to the streaming part, it's like back when I was like only a competitor, no streaming or anything like this. The only chance I had to connect with my fans, which is basically a synonym for people that also like games just like me, so basically potential friends in the making, because I mean we're all nerds here. The only chance that I had to connect with them was like at tournaments. There was no social networks, stream and so on, so this is why I like streaming a lot. Like the days in between playing competitions, I still get to hang out with people and not just by myself. And in terms of making the jump to be independent and dependent on my fans, that was possible because of my fans and because there was companies like SteelSeries believe in me and supported me in that individual venture, and that said like, yeah, we believe that you can continue to play tournaments, represent us. We don't need a team in between that. Like you have a name for yourself, and that can totally work. And that continues now. Warning. Advertisement alert, but that continues now with the support from sponsors that I have now. BenQ gaming monitors and Asus ROG peripherals.
But I mean, there must have been teams, a bunch of teams reaching out to you. Of course, you have a huge name. Were there offers just not high enough, or did you just want to try your own thing?
So when you reduce it to the basics, what a team does for you, they pay you a salary, they pay your expenses, and ideally they could coach you psychologically, they could arrange things for you administratively, and they find sponsors to take care of those things. And you could have a kind of cohesion together, and you can practice together. And the thing that people mostly think in the community is that when you're in a team it means you practice together, but that's kind of like a myth. Like that only happens when there's a professional coach, for instance in Korea, and he forces you to practice together, usually in a live setting, because when you're online everyone is like, you know, I'll just play ladder and play with my friend or whatever. So I was looking like, okay, you know, teams offer a lot of benefits in terms of allowing a player to just focus on the game. And maybe provide a practice structure if that's what they do, which often doesn't happen. And if they do coaching, which often doesn't happen yet. So I thought I can probably, you know, I've learned a lot. I can probably do those things myself. I know how to use email, and I had a lot of contacts already in the esports world. So and one thing is like the team decides how you're going to promote yourself, what tournaments you're going to go to, and basically how you fulfill your life in esports. And there was a number of things that I couldn't do being tied up with a team. So I wanted to basically be able to do anything. If I want to shoutcast a tournament, shoutcast. I want to stream, stream. If I don't want to stream, don't stream. Because they could be like, okay, you need to do minimum this many hours. I wanted to be true to myself and to my fans. If I want to practice for a tournament, or I want to connect in this way, or I want to do something else in esports, because I love it all. I like writing articles and making YouTube content, what have you. So any idea that I have, I can immediately start to work on that. Instead of like, hey, I got this idea, I want to like, I don't know, print a shirt with, you know, with my ass on it, or I want to start to stream or make YouTube videos. And they're like, okay, let's run it by, you know, the 3 people that make this. No, I want to make it tomorrow, or like right now. So that was really cool that I was enabled and allowed to do that with that kind of freedom, with sponsors and fans believing in me in that way. And like the administrative side, it wasn't that difficult for me anymore. However, maybe if you start new in esports, it will be quite hard to start out by yourself right away, because you don't know how everything works. So maybe it takes some time and experience.
But I can definitely relate to that sentiment. We have our own brand, and we don't have to answer to anybody. And having that freedom to just do whatever you want, to have that freedom of creativity, it's absolutely relieving, and it's liberating. All right, now you stream a lot nowadays, and Hero seems to be your focus right now. Do you want to focus most of your attention on it, or are you still considering branching out into other titles, maybe other genres, Counter-Strike, I don't know, anything? And of course that title, Heroes, is different from RTS. It is a MOBA or a team brawler or whatever you want to call it. And now that you're not that extremely competitive anymore, do you enjoy the team aspect of the game, like the social aspect of it? And would you say that's the kind of game you like playing the most nowadays?
Yeah, it's the game I enjoy playing the most right now, that's true. There's a number of Warcraft heroes which feels nostalgic and reminiscent of Warcraft 3. In some ways it's a little bit similar to Warcraft 3, I know it's quite different, but in some ways, let's say you take down one of the opponent's heroes, you have 5 versus 4 heroes, that means you have map control. That's kind of like killing the opponent's 3rd hero paladin. It's like, they kind of need to give you free reign of the map. So do you first do your creep camps or theirs? Theirs. Just like in Warcraft 3. Aggressive creeping when you have a map control. It's the same in Heroes of the Storm. And what do you do when you have a big advantage? You go attack their base. Same in Heroes of the Storm. And how do you come back from a comeback? Do you just like keep playing very dutifully, splitting everything equally, or do you try to surprise the opponent? You do that in Warcraft 3. You try to like catch them off guard, maybe quickly kill a hero. Sorry.
No worries.
Getting so excited. Quickly kill a hero. Same thing in Heroes of the Storm as Warcraft 3. So a lot of things feel similar, more so than StarCraft 2. Like StarCraft 2 doesn't feel that similar to Warcraft 3, although it's cool in a different way. And then yeah, you're suddenly playing with teammates. So League of Legends players that come to Heroes of the Storm, they say, so how do I carry this game? How do I by myself win this? Well, Heroes of Storm isn't that kind of game. You share experience points, you really got to work together. And this reminds me of my WC3L time, like when I was 2v2ing with Krill Lopez or Todd or Fury, you got to make it work together. You discuss which guy are you going to coil Nova Hex, Windwall, Critical Strike. And that kind of interaction is in Heroes of the Storm too. And League of Legends players think that you can do it by yourself, but you can't. Same in WC3L. If we had a boot camp and we practiced together before, even nurturing an outside of the game feeling of cohesion, togetherness, we always did better. And if we were individually worse than Meet Your Makers, because you know they're all Koreans and they can out-micro us, but somehow we were winning the 2v2s every time. Not every time, but if we had had a boot camp, and even someone like Fury or Zeus, who was probably way worse than some of the Koreans, could play a lot better just because it was WC3L, that team spirit. And so if you have a good mentality together in Heroes of the Storm, and I'm like motivating my 4, I'm not calling them randoms, but for me they're strangers, right? I'm just playing some random ladder game and there's 4 guys. If I'm helping motivate them and strategizing and saying like, okay, how about we do all this together? Then everyone starts playing better sometimes. And then it almost feels like it's Warcraft 3, like I'm controlling all of them. Not really, but like we're discussing strats together. And if they have good ideas, I'm going along with that, you know? So we're moving as this small army around the map and doing things. So I really enjoy it. And yeah, but you were mentioning freedom. I could go play Resident Evil or Counter-Strike on stream if I wanted to. I have that kind of freedom, but really enjoy Heroes of the Storm right now.
But anything's possible. But the continuity you said earlier is important, and you're really trying to, you know, deliver for the fans. And yeah, you're streaming a lot. It's basically your job, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Heroes of the Storm and streaming is what ties it all together. Anything else, we have this word for it. I don't know if it's German to schnabbelen. No? There's this word where like anything you can get your hands on, or just like opportunities, just like doing lots of cool, fun, different things and earning a little bit of money on the side. That's what comprises everything I do now. But streaming is what ties it together. It's the most constant activity, very fulfilling, feels very fulfilling and fun. And I get to talk to people who like watching and playing games every day. It's really cool.
Yeah, I know. I also find streaming to be very fun, but I'm pretty bad, so it's not that fun for everyone. And also something people want to know, do you play with Cassandra, Heroes? And be honest here, how good is she?
She's pretty good. She has especially really good game knowledge, and she's very level-headed, more so than me. She's more logical. And sometimes I'll ask, hey, how do you play Nova? She's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's not good. The pros built this, blah, blah. In that sense, I go with the fad, like the hype, more. I'm like more easily influenced. And then later, like the meta switches to what she was already playing. Like, she doesn't get nervous. She's unfazed. She has her own ideas about the game, and she's very logical. So if she was a little bit quicker to type while playing, well, I'm very quick at that, but you know, then I think she would be a great team leader too. And mechanically, she's all right. She's pretty good. She's very experienced, so she knows how all the heroes work. Just she's a little bit slower in the hands than like, you know, an old dog like me, pro gamer and so on. But like, she's pretty good. Pretty good.
And speaking of your wife, Cassandra, you have been married for a long time now. What is it, 6 years?
5 years, but feels like one.
Okay. And we all remember at BlizzCon it was one of the legendary moments of Warcraft. And also another player here is married and has a kid, and that is Hate Love Anger. And now the question is, you've been married for such a long time. And actually, there have been rumors going around that you were setting up a nursery at home, but you told me that's just rumors, fabricated, that's not true at all. But I mean, it must have crossed your mind, becoming a father. It's of course a big question for anybody. Do you feel ready? Are you planning to get ready sometime, like mini Grubby? Is it on the horizon at some point?
How did you know how I was going to name my son? I always thought I cannot be a father and pro gamer at the same time. I don't know what you think about that, but it just seems like two of the most time-consuming things in the world. So while I was a pro gamer, it was just out of the question. In the meantime, every year, and this is really weird, but every year I get 1 year older.
What? How does that work? Like, didn't you tell your doctor?
I think I live in reality, that's why. And so, while I was a pro gamer, I can't have children. I can't have pets. I can't go on holidays because, you know, there could be a really important tournament coming up which I want to play. And I can't move house, I can't do renovation, all because my mind, I want to have it 100%. To be fair, let's say 90% on pro gaming and 10% on personal life. And so this was very demanding on both me and my girlfriend, but bless her heart, so understanding, unbelievable. I never thought it would be possible. But still, you know, the clock is ticking, and eventually, when you're 50, it's very rare to have children. So I think, in a sense, I mean, I've been pro gaming for 12 years. Maybe that's part of it, to at least leave the door open for children. Are we actively building a nursery right now? No, not right now, but we're considering the possibility at least. You never know if it's going to work because, you know, nature, and it would be, but it's possible now, let's say. Not actively building, but of course we are thinking like, gee, where's that little thing going to sleep? Like, not in the shed, right? I believe there's laws against that, so. Yeah, I mean, we need to have a room for you eventually, right? So.
Okay, cool.